Today, we're jumping into a story that honestly feels like a divine setup, a conspiracy for good, orchestrated by God himself. It's an incredible look at how one man's quiet, daily prayer habit ended up pivoting the entire course of history. You're not going to want to miss this. Let's get into it.
Just think about that for a second. The biggest, most world-changing movements, they almost always have these incredibly quiet and humble beginnings. And this story, right out of the book of Acts, is the ultimate example of that. It's a carefully planned encounter that was designed to shatter every barrier you could possibly imagine.
All right, so let's meet the man at the center of it all. His name is Cornelius, and he is, to put it mildly, a walking paradox. On the surface, if you were casting for this story, he is probably the last person you'd pick to be at the heart of God's big plan. And the contrast here is it's fascinating. On one hand, he's a Roman centurion, in Caesarea no less, which was the Roman administrative capital. So he's a symbol of imperial power of the occupation, a man of authority, of discipline. But behind closed doors, he was someone else entirely. He was a God-fearer, a devout, prayerful, and unbelievably generous man who was sincerely seeking the God of Israel. Now, this term, God-fear, it wasn't just a casual thing. This was a whole recognized group of non-Jews who were drawn to the morality and the idea of one true God in Judaism. They worshipped him, they followed the moral codes, but they hadn't taken that final step of full conversion, like circumcision. So in many ways, Cornelius was the ultimate outsider, desperately looking in.
And his faith wasn't just some private feeling. You could see it. It was tangible. Get this. He gave generously to the very people his army was occupying. He prayed constantly, and he was such a spiritual leader that his entire household, his family, his servants, even his soldiers, they followed his lead. This shows us a heart that was just genuinely hungry for God.
So, it's during one of these totally normal, routine moments of prayer that the whole story just takes a hard right turn. A regular afternoon is about to become the single most important turning point for the future of the global Christian mission. And the timing here is so important. The vision happens at the 9th hour, which is around 3 p.m. Why does that matter? Well, that was a traditional, formal time for Jewish prayer. So God literally meets Cornelius right in the middle of his sincere attempt to connect, honoring the very rhythm of the faith that he was so drawn to. And then an angel shows up with this incredible message. Now, here's the crucial part. This isn't about Cornelius earning his salvation. His good deeds didn't buy him a ticket to heaven. No, what this means is that his prayers and his generosity were like a signal flare that shot up to heaven, a memorial that showed God his heart was prepared, it was open, and it was ready for whatever was coming next.
So what is the next step? Well, it's a command with almost comically specific details. It's like a divine GPS. Okay, send men to this city, Joppa. Find this specific guy, Simon, also known as Peter. Oh, and he's staying with another guy named Simon, who happens to be a tanner, and by the way, his house is right by the sea. You see, this wasn't some vague spiritual nudge. This was a meticulously orchestrated, divinely guided mission. God was leaving absolutely nothing to chance.
So an angel gives you a message from heaven. That's one thing. But what you do next, well, that's everything. And Cornelius's response is just as important as the vision itself.
He doesn't hesitate, he doesn't second-guess it, he doesn't ask for a second opinion, he just acts. Immediately, he calls two of his most trusted servants and a devout soldier, someone he knew shared his spiritual values, tells them everything and sends them on their way. That immediate obedience is the engine that drives this whole plan forward.
Okay, so now we have to zoom out. Because this very intimate, personal moment of one man's prayer and his simple act of obedience, it was designed from the start to have explosive global consequences. This was never just about saving one man. Just look at how this plays out over time. For centuries, you have God's promise to Abraham to bless all nations just waiting. Then Jesus gives the Great Commission, go make disciples of all nations. But let's be honest, the early church was still pretty much focused only on Jewish people. The vision given to Cornelius, that is the turning point. It's the moment the floodgates officially swing open, making it crystal clear that the gospel is for everyone, Jew and Gentile alike. And that's the absolute genius of this divine setup. God initiated the whole thing so clearly, so miraculously, that it became irrefutable proof. He was basically playing chess, thinking 5 moves ahead. By orchestrating it this way, he preempted all the arguments and the prejudice that he knew was coming. He was making a statement. Hey, the inclusion of the nations, that's not a human idea. That is my direct will.
So this incredible piece of history, it isn't just a story for us to admire from a distance. It's a pattern. It's a model for how God still wants to work in the world and, in our lives.
Think about it. God chose a Roman centurion, the ultimate outsider, to make his point. So who are the people in your life, in your job, in your neighborhood, that you might secretly consider outsiders? This story challenges us to see them the way God does, as people he is actively pursuing. Cornelius's daily habits of prayer and giving, they didn't save him, but they absolutely positioned him. They cultivated a heart that was soft and ready to hear from God. So the question for us is, are our daily habits doing the same thing?
Cornelius's world-changing journey started with one simple, practical step: send men to Joppa. That's it. He didn't know the full plan, he just obeyed the very next instruction. So what's that simple, clear next step that God is asking of you right now?
And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. Your quiet prayers, those unseen acts of generosity, your daily attempts at devotion, they are not unnoticed. The Bible says they rise up as a memorial before God. They are preparing you, and just like he did with Cornelius, God might be setting up a divine appointment right now, planning to use your faithfulness to do something far bigger than you could ever possibly imagine.